let the anxiety win. And so she was sitting at their kitchen table, like gripping onto the table, keeping herself in place and trying to decide which part of her brain she was going to listen to. And her wife came, saw what was happening, came over and said, he is fine. You don't need to do anything. Just stay here. He will be home soon. He is fine. And she said that her immediate reaction to that in her brain was, one, wow, she is so reckless. And two, well, obviously she doesn't love him as much as I do. And she said, like, when I was able to step out of that space, I realized that by implication, what I believe somewhere in some part of me is anxiety is love.
Oh, absolutely.
And so she said that was this like huge realization for her that like, wow, this is what I associate love with, this like, crazy protective thing. And that to me, that's really similar to what you were just saying about the loving thing is to step away. But if you believe that you're the only thing that is good for this person, the only person who can help them, whatever, that's really just anxiety and ego. You're saying, oh, if I step away and I'm not here to pick up all the pieces, then they're going to fall apart and things are going to be horrible. And it's up to me, I'm the only one that can save them. And that's not love. That's anxiety and ego.
Really
right. In the anxiety and worry course, I focus a lot on this. These inappropriate beliefs and connections to worry and anxiety. The payoffs. The payoff for it is that, well, it proves that I'm a caring person. Look how much I'm worrying.
Right.
And there's a lot of BMNs that sell this idea. They don't really care, but they sell it. Oh, look how I must be a nice person. Look how much I care about worrying and being anxious and stuff. Oh, you poor thing, are you okay? And they overdo it. They're just selling how much they're supposed to be caring. That's it, really. So, but this idea, unfortunately, gets stuck in kids. And they, like I said, they believe this inappropriate form of caring and loving. And it's dreadful. It's dreadful. I mean, there's many ways, overdoing your efforts and all of this. It's that when we get these mistaken ideas, and especially in the case of something like capital diplomacy, where we are trying everything, at some point you've got to say, look, I have to acknowledge it's outside of my awareness. And that is an option that we don't typically consider to be an option.
True.
Right? I mean, the option of stepping away and making space for something else is an option, but we don't think of it as an option.
And remembering that we don't know everything. Just because we think that, just because we can't see another option that's viable for this other person, if we're not there to help them, doesn't mean that there's not another option. We don't have It's true.
Exactly. Big deal, in other words. So this is major. When you're saying we're not giving up, we are simply saying, I'm going to trust in another method. I'm not the one. That's it. End of story. And I love enough and care enough and have enough intent to say this is going to happen in some other way without me. Yeah. Very, very important. Very, very important. Yeah. We're not giving up. We're not quitting. We're just making space for alternatives. Yeah.
But you could also use that type of thinking to be irresponsible. And I mean, you
could. Yeah.
I'm just leaving it open to someone else, whatever. So you have to be really
exactly. That's why impeccability. Right? That's why impeccability is the glue for it all. That's huge. Because otherwise we can easily fall into these easy traps. So from an impeccability point of view, I'm looking at it. Have I been thorough? Am I here? Yeah. Have I been thorough? Have I done enough? Have I been scrupulous? Yes, I have. Okay. I've done enough. When your conscience is clear, That's the point when you know you've done enough. Yes.
Well, okay. Then I'm butting in on Erica's session here, so I
Oh,
apologize.
that's all right.
It's all good.
I'm just sitting at the kitchen table, But I just think it's so interesting because, with my first husband, I felt no pang of guilt. I felt no sense of, abandonment or whatever. And it was my idea. I mean, get out. You are gone. Get out of here. We've done this for years.
Yeah.
You will not let go of your girlfriend. And I do not want to be part of a threesome, and so you need to go. It's Erica's getting ready to start school and we're not doing this. So goodbye. I mean, after years of trying to, make it better. And I mean, seriously, a week after he was gone, I hardly thought of him. I mean, it was just really weird. But there was no real recovery from whatever. I mean, it was just done. But with Phil, totally different thing. And I mean, I'm just sitting here thinking about, I think with Brent, I really felt I had done everything that I could possibly do. And I just didn't feel that with Phil. Like I had that thing that you were talking about. There's a different way. There's some other way that I can.
There's got to be something else I can do.
Something different that I can do. And I don't know. I mean, with Phil, I had been a teacher for many years. Maybe I was so accustomed to trying different things and coming at them in a different way or whatever. I felt like I wasn't. I had not fulfilled my obligation somehow. And I mean, that's just something.
Well, okay. And here's another thing that I have thought about, because I hear you continue to talk about these things as things that you miss. Do you think it's possible that maybe it wasn't Phil so much as it was who you were or the environment that you had
I think
when you were with him?
That's
like
part
living in the country, just the life that you had.
Oh yeah, I miss my life.
Like maybe it wasn't necessarily Phil. Maybe it was you wanted to keep those things, and so you kept persisting because it was like, I can't let this go because that means letting go of all these other things.
Right. Well, I think that's definitely a part of it. But I think there honestly is a real love.
Oh yeah, yeah.
There too. But I mean, for sure, that was part of it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like what you were saying earlier, Sil, about, when you are in an environment and in order to break out of the bubble, you have to break out of the environment and you have all these rewards.
Yes.
And the other option for me at that time was to go to Mom's.
Go live with grandma.
Which was like, let's go from something really great to something horrible,
Yeah.
And so of course I am now in that environment. But I mean, definitely that was part of it.
Yeah.
It's kind of amazing when you think that I was able to get out of there.
Yeah.
And
it is amazing. Yes. Powerful. Yes.
I think
yes.
But I give myself credit too.
Absolutely.
That, I was able to do that.
Absolutely.
And not just get out of the physical environment, but get out of the bubble.
Yes.
So
for sure.
That was a time.
Yes.
Very cool. Very cool. Very cool. And from the side out there, do they have
right. It's breaking up really bad. Well, no, that way the facing you when you're talking.
Well,
you broke up. We didn't get any of what you.
Okay. Let me try again. Hold on one second. Oh, yeah. I was just saying on a side note, I think that Kay has had a profound effect on Phil, but he needed to be in a different relationship, in another relationship to appreciate.
I still can't
Okay,
really
yeah.
understand.
Okay, so we didn't really get that. The actual
So I know what the problem is, and it's just boy, dang it! It's just at the time my internet expires, they don't give you a prepay option, and so I have to. It just expired now while we were doing this. So let me just see if I can. Now on the phone, it's not logged in there. So
but now we can
give me 1 second.
every
So
time
you hear me now?
every time you get to like the real important part of what you're trying to say, it goes.
All right, give me a moment. Give me a moment. Hang on.
Mhm. Here she is.
It just happened to now exactly at this moment decide to end its monthly thing. So
You know.
so now I have to, I pay it again, but I have to sign in on the phone again.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Sorry.
All right. I think seems like you can hear me now, right?
Yes.
I was just saying that I do think that you have had a profound effect on Phil. Okay, by the way.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Except though, he needed to be in a different relationship in order to realize and appreciate it.
That might be true. That might be true.
Yeah, I mean that's how it got through to him.
Yeah.
At the time, it didn't penetrate or resonate or connect at all. Now that he's in this other relationship, now he's thinking about it, and now it's starting to pay off and make sense and come into being. Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably
Again, which proves just what we're talking about. Sometimes you have to stop and change the situation and make space for other methods to happen. What you did is never lost. It's never wasted. Yeah.
right. Agree.
Yeah.
Agree.
Very cool. Very cool. Very, very cool indeed.
Totally different way.
Very exciting. Nice example of it. Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So the point I was saying earlier too, before it broke off there, the point we know when to end is when our conscience has been satisfied. Have I done enough? Yeah.
I think I've done enough.
Right. Well, but that's where I think, again, going back to the very beginning of all this, where Sil was saying, remember that all of this is extra.
Right. I know.
That's
Yes. It's
like
bonus to start with. Exactly.
you don't have the association of this is not necessary. So when you go back to this is extra, none of this is required of me, then
exactly
that helps reset this concept of I haven't done enough. That look, of course I've done enough. Enough was not being negative. So everything else beyond that is extra.
It's bonus. Yes.
Relationships like marriage or mom-daughter or whatever. I mean, how does isn't there a obligation is not necessarily the word, but sort of commitment, responsibility. I mean, they're in relationships. There are.
But I don't think so. I mean, if you think about,
as long as you're adults, it's not really.
Well, and if you think about what's required to have a good relationship, is it required to go above and beyond all the time in order to have a successful relationship with someone? No, I don't think so. It certainly can add to things, and it depends on how you each define above and beyond. I mean, that's part of it, is what do you consider above and beyond? But, I mean, I don't think that necessarily, and to Sil's point of, sort of recognizing when that above and beyond stuff can actually be detrimental.
Right.
That for sure is a real thing, because just because it's something above and beyond and awesome that you think you're doing doesn't necessarily mean the other person thinks that it's great. Sure. So doing that all the time, I mean, part of it is just being realistic and recognizing, okay, just because I think this is above and beyond and awesome and great doesn't mean it's actually doing something good.
Right.
So
it kind of ties in with the love language thing too, where you're doing this and they don't.
Right. They're not getting it at all. Yeah.
So when it comes to children, this is a big question and it's a fun question. And when we do the new nobility thing, we'll touch on it, because there's lots of ramifications when it comes to children. It gets complicated. I mean, lots of ways to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
But just on a more sort of surface level, you do enough to get your children to the point where they can choose for themselves, and then you've done your job.
Right. And I think I've done this with you before. But one of the things that I remember, and I think it's hysterical that Mom, I don't think you remember this at all, because we had talked about it not all that long ago. But I know I was telling you, Sil, about my friend Kim, who I went to visit around my birthday. She and I had been friends for
quite
a really long time. And her mom has passed away now. But I loved her mom. She was so awesome. And I will never forget this time that Phil didn't want Mom to have any friends. He also really didn't want me to have any friends either. And he was very selective about, who he thought I should be spending my time with. Yeah.
Uppity.
And always decided that he didn't like, whoever it was that I was hanging out with. And my friend Kim is a very, talk about real independence of being. She's a very, she does not give a shit what anybody else thinks is great. She's going to do what she's going to do. And her mom was kind of similar. And so there was some circumstance where I don't even remember what it was we were doing, something. And actually Kim remembered in great detail. And I was like, I didn't even remember that that's what really happened. But somehow or other, we had been hanging out together or something. And Phil was upset about it. And as per usual, he did not handle it directly. He wanted Mom to, be the one to because that was another one of his tactics to drive a wedge between the two of us, was he would bitch about something and then get Mom to be the one to confront me, so that then there was this, thing. And so Mom, I think that it was Kim and I were together, or we were together and not with you guys. And it was I was on the phone. I think Phil was mad about us hanging out or something that we had done. And he had you call me and say, you are not allowed to blah, blah, blah. And I don't remember whether you had me hand the phone over to Kim or whether Kim was and you somehow, she was implicated in this, you are not allowed to do blah, blah, blah. And, I don't want you to hang out with my daughter. I don't want you to do something with my daughter. And Kim, the next time she talked to her mom's like, hey, what's going on? She's like, well, all this happened. And Kim's mom was so mad. Fuming mad. And she called you.
I don't even remember.
She goes, Kim, give me your phone. And she called you, I think, from Kim's phone or something.
So I would answer.
And she answered, and she got into you big time. And it was so funny that you don't remember this, because you did not like Jan. After that, you were like, I don't want you hanging, I do not like that woman. And she was the sweetest person, but she was like, you are not going to tell my kid what to do. And so she called Mom and was like, listen, you do not need to be telling my kid what to do. You do what you want with your kid, but don't tell my kid what to do. But she said something that I will never forget that really stuck with me. And it's basically exactly what you just said. So that she said, at the time, I think Kim and I were 17. And she said to you, look, you have done a really good job raising Erica. Erica is a really good person. She makes good decisions. She's 17. She's not a baby anymore. She's about to go off to college. You have done everything that you could do. All of the things that you have done up to this point have led her to be the person that she is today. She is a really good person. You have to trust that what you've done up to this point. And now, like, there needs to be a transition where you let her do what she's going to do, because it's not really appropriate anymore to continue to like hold on and make these decisions, which, and again, that was Phil. I mean, that was not, I don't think at all that was like your natural tendency. Phil was like, she shouldn't have that, but then he would have you do all the dirty work. But she said,
but I did.
You did, but I mean, there was a lot of weird stuff going on.
Yeah.
But she said, basically, trust in what you've done. Trust that what you have done.
Yes.
Yeah, and that there is a point where it is appropriate, and the time is now.
Exactly.
You need to adjust your behavior, because doing what you had been doing is not appropriate anymore. It's time for her to go on and do her thing. And that was like, I will never forget that. And, I think Kim told me later, oh yeah, my mom called your mom and this is what she said. And I was like, man, I love that. And I think that's so true. I love that
too.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was a great advice, but that's really true that, it's so easy to get caught up in this thought of
sort of, this is my role.
Yeah. And that like, I'm being irresponsible.
Yeah.
For my child, it is my responsibility to care for my child.
Which is stupid. I mean, imagine that I spoon feed you.
Right.
Right.
Oh, it's still my responsibility.
I'm your mom, so I better,
that there is a point in time where you have to trust.
Watch out when I start changing.
Yeah. You have to
exactly
that what you did up to that point.
Exactly. And to realize and be aware that trust is a profound gift of love.
Right.
Trust that involves actual real risk.
Right.
Sometimes that may not work out, and they may actually get injured and for worse, but you have to trust. And that is a profound gift of love. To trust somebody to the extent where they may get hurt or some negative may result. There is a possibility, but you trust anyway.
Right.
That is the exact opposite.
Yes. Exactly.
Trust
is the opposite of anxiety. It's true.
Yeah.
Oops. I can see your lips moving, but we can't hear you. Okay. Yeah, it's coming back.
That trust, it's such a big deal. And this is the key when we are saying, okay, my capital diplomacy efforts are no longer working, or they're not working, they haven't succeeded. I need to trust some other method, even if it may result in some sort of harm, because we learn through the downsides too.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and that's where, what I was saying earlier, that I think a big part of this for me is just the recognition that what you're doing isn't working.
Right.
And not, I mean, I guess maybe not necessarily recognition, the acknowledgement.
Correct. Acknowledgement, right.
So much that I don't recognize that it's not working, but it's like acknowledging that it's not working is this big thing of, well, I can't, and like, I can't admit defeat. If I really acknowledge that this isn't working, then, I don't know what else to do. And so I can't do that, because this is my responsibility and I have to fix this. So yeah, just getting to the place where you can step back and really fully acknowledge, okay, look, what I'm doing right now is really not working. And that's okay. I don't have to be the one to find the solution to this, but I need to acknowledge the fact and really face the music that this is not working.
Exactly. And to unhook from that, it's not a direct arrogance, but it's an inadvertent arrogance to assume we're the only solution, but to make space for alternatives. And that's why I brought up Phil, because I think it's a great case, from what you shared, Kay. in the conversations, when Phil has called you lately, and then he's complaining about his girlfriend.
Yes.
That's appreciation of you.
Right.
So your efforts actually hitting home, in some way or another. And so the fact that he calls you even is a testament to it. Yeah. So it's very exciting. It's very, very cool stuff. Very cool stuff. Big deal. It's a big point. It's a very big point. Just alternative options to say, I might not know what they are, but I'm not actually giving up. I'm shifting to some different method, but I'm not directly involved with.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, cool. What's the second part of that question?
Sorry, it broke up. I heard you say my name.
Was there a second part?
Was there a second?
Yeah, second part.
To what?
To the when diplomacy fails.
Oh, well, yeah. How long do we patiently persist? But I think we've gone into that for sure.
Okay. Hold on 1 second. Sorry.
Sure.
Oh, that's not what I want to do. Dang it. This happened once before too, that I guess it's that it renewed during our session.
Nice.
I didn't realize it at the time. I have to type on the phone.
Yes.
Slow business. All right. Yeah, and then you have to log in again. It's too peculiar how they do it. There we go. All right. Should be good now.
Cool.
Be good now. Yeah. All right. Brilliant. Okay. This is cool. This is cool to acknowledge this and to just say different options, and it applies to all methodologies, not just capital diplomacy, right? But the capital diplomacy is particular in this case because we do so much.
Oop. Okay, I just lost you. I can see you talking, but I can't hear anything.
Nah, I didn't hear you, Erica. Oh man, come on, internet. I want to hear Erica. Dang it.
I was just saying I didn't hear any of that because I could see your lips moving, but I couldn't hear you. It's back now, but I heard you say this applies in other areas, not just capital D diplomacy, but then after that.
Okay, so I was saying particularly with capital diplomacy, because we are doing things that we cannot point out directly and say, look, I'm doing this, I'm doing that.
Right.
If somebody's not really getting what you're saying, you what do you do? Yeah.
Right.
So it doesn't mean that those are our only options for problem resolution.
Right.
Sometimes we may try non-diplomatic things, like basically, kind of scolding somebody.
Right.
Not particularly diplomatic, but in the greater context. Look, I've tried all my diplomacy. You're not getting it. It's like maybe this will get through.
Right.
We try everything, and it's you pay a big price for those other methods, but still, just to be aware, that if you're trying really making a big effort, sometimes that's all that's left, right?
That's a good.
Difficult. It's very, very, very difficult. So.
Excellent point. Okay, well, shall we get into?
Yes. We're on pleasant potency.
Yes, this was a pretty short one.
Yeah.
I I read it and read over the questions, but didn't actually write down any answers.
No problem. No problem.
But this was a really interesting, this particular topic was interesting given the timing, because I think I had not read this at this point. This happened yesterday, and then I sat down and read this, and I was like, wow, this was a perfect exemplification of what was going on.
Oh, I love when that happens. I absolutely love when that happens.
So, yeah, I mean, for me, my takeaway of the pleasant potency, this whole section was about balance, because it kept kind of going back and forth and saying like, well, we have to be adamant on being pleasant and taking a power pause, which was that was my real application yesterday. A power pause in with an intent to be pleasant. But, doing a power pause, being adamant about being pleasant. However, also remember to not get overly, to not let our caring and love of everything drag us in to sort of direct, being inappropriately pleasant. That, being appropriately pleasant is really about finding that really good balancing point in the middle. So yesterday was really interesting. So I guess day before yesterday, Joe's parents have a gate around their pool equipment, like the pump and everything, that is really old and falling apart. And Joe, builds all kinds of things. And he has all of his saws and all this equipment. So his dad was asking his opinion on replacing this gate and saying, well, how easy do you think it would be? And what do you think I need? And they went out and looked at it the last time we were over there. And for me, unsurprisingly, when they came back inside, I was like really kind of pleasantly surprised that Don Joe's advice or something. So I was like, wow, is he actually acknowledging that
That's
Joe?
progress. That's progress. That's progress.
However, totally unsurprising to me, when they came back inside after looking at this, Mary said, oh, did you get everything figured out? And Don said, no, basically Joe said he doesn't know. And so, I was just as well off just figuring this out myself or something like that. And I'm like, well, that's a very typical Don response. But
Yeah.
as it turned out, they moved forward, and Joe did end up recommending, all of this lumber that Don needed. He recommended how they could go about doing this. Don listened to him, went out and bought all of this lumber, did the whole shebang. And he wanted to come over and use Joe's equipment, like the saw, to get all the lumber cut. And that was supposed to be it, right? It was going to be, they're coming over, they're bringing this wood with them over to our house, and they're going to cut all of the pieces with the equipment, and then Don's going to go back home, put this together. So they are talking about this theoretically. I was not aware that there were any solid plans of when this was happening. And Joe told me at like 10 o'clock on Tuesday night, I think, or Monday night, oh, by the way, my folks are coming over tomorrow, and, they're going to be here doing, I'm like, oh my gosh, no, I have to run around and clean up and get everything together. So there's no set plan of when they're coming over, because there never is. They always just, it's just spontaneous, whatever. So he says, well, they're going to come over tomorrow evening, or, that day. He's saying, oh, they're coming over in the evening, I'm not sure when. And I've been trying to figure out, all of the meals and my macros and all this stuff. And it takes all this pre-planning. So we had figured out what we were going to do for dinner. And I said, okay, well, I have no idea when your folks are coming. Don't know if they're coming after dinner. Don't know if they're coming right in the middle of dinner or whatever. I'm going to be in here getting dinner ready, and, whatever, we'll figure it out. So they showed up ended up staying. They showed up right when I had gotten started working on dinner, and Mary was with them. And so she was just standing outside in the cold. So, you know, we brought her in and sat down and talked to her forever. It was really good to talk with her. We actually had a super interesting conversation, she and mom and I did, that was really funny, and it was really good. But it like completely derailed, you know, our dinner plans. Don ends up staying way longer than he said he was going to. He wants to have Joe help him build the whole thing.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
But build it. Doesn't give any indication of how long he, you know, just decides he's going to stay. And Mary, bless her heart, keeps going outside and saying like, Don, you know, I think it's time to go. We're holding up their dinner. Why don't we? And he's like not getting it at all. So eventually she just went back outside and like stood there and just stared at him until he left. So then they said, well, we're coming back tomorrow, and we're going to, you know, we only got one side of the gate built. And so we're coming back tomorrow. We're going to finish. I'm like, okay. So Joe says at that point, well, you know, they're coming tomorrow. They're going to come after dinner. So, you know, that'll give us time to get food eaten and everything. Like, it won't be so disruptive. It's like, okay. So then he tells me, yesterday was the day where I'm just completely exhausted. I got no sleep. I have absolutely no energy. It's like 4:30 and I'm on the couch, like trying to take a nap because I was so exhausted. And Joe says, okay, so my parents are coming over at 6:30. And I said, that's not after dinner. You know, what time are they eating? Like 4:00? That's not after dinner. And he's like, well, I don't know. That's what they said. And I'm like, okay, well, it takes forever to make the thing for dinner that we had set aside to make the night before that got derailed. And so, you know, there's all this planning I need to do. I'm dead tired. I've got to get up now if I'm going to get this made. So I drag myself off the couch. I go get in the shower. I, start trying to get dinner ready. And I don't even know what time it was. Probably 5.
It wasn't even.
Not even 5. Joe comes into the kitchen and says, well, my dad is on the way now. So,
Wow.
and I'm like, I took a major power pause. And
Power pause or power pout?
Major power pause. I got
pause.
And I said, I'm not even going to say. There's a million things that I want to say right now, and I'm not.
Good.
And the whole time I said nothing. I said absolutely nothing. All these things kept coming up that I really wanted to say and ask, and nope. Every time I just took a major pause and I was like, I need to be diplomatic. I'm supposed to be being compassionate, courteous, above and beyond, thinking the best, whatever. And so, nope, I'm going to be good. I'm going to be nice. I'm going to be not negative.
Wow.
I'm not going to say anything that is negative. So I zipped my lips.
Wow.
When I made dinner, and Joe says, well, my dad's on his way over now, so I'm just gonna have to eat dinner, whenever they get done. You guys go ahead. So his dinner is gonna be like cold, and I'm like, and what I kept telling myself, I was really proud of myself, because what I kept telling myself, it was interesting because it was actually kind of what we were just talking about, where I wanted to say, how can you let him do this to you? How can you let him be this much of an asshole? Stand up for yourself. Tell him to F off and come back over later when you've eaten dinner. This is completely it's disrupting my plans, but I still get to eat. You're the one that has to go out there, build all this crap for him, do all, whatever. But I was like, you know what? This is his choice. If this is something that he wants to do, it is not my job to step in and tell him what he should do for his dad. It's not my job to fix this. That's his decision. Boop, you know, just zip it. Don't, it's not, you know, just me. So I kept my mouth completely shut. I stopped myself numerous times from saying something that I really wanted to say. And I just whoop, and Joe went out and did his thing. We had dinner. Joe came in and ate when he was done, and we moved on. And I was really proud of myself for not jumping right. And I mean, you know, one of the things in the pleasant potency was our diplomacy is dependent on our adamance to not immerse in disagreement or inappropriate passion.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Yes.
There you go. You know, inappropriate passion for sure was on the list for me. Like, oh, but you know, maintain our perspective and our emotional distance. Avoid being caught in too much care and love applied too quickly. We need to be on pacing. I'm like, okay, you know, I can do this. So I was really excited that I had an opportunity to practice that before I even read the thing. So that was cool.
That's most cool indeed.
And
Most cool indeed.
Interesting that the first exercise question was, how does capital D diplomacy apply with those close and dear to us?
Very difficultly is the answer to that, right? Yeah. Very difficulty. It's very hard. Capital D diplomacy is the hardest with those close to us. It's very difficult.
But to me, one of the things I observed was you used restraint and didn't say things but it was really an example of not negative.
Right.
Because you weren't going over the other side.
Right. I didn't
trying to be fake positive.
Right. I made it clear that I wasn't being fake about, you know, oh, it's fine. I mean, I made it clear that that was not something I was happy about.
You were not amused.
Right. But you were not, you just didn't.
I just
didn't do something that was negative.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Fantastic.
I was really proud of myself.
I tend to go over the other direction and go, you know, oh, it's okay. You know,
yeah, no, I don't. I tend to go, and then you know, especially in that case.
Ended past tense.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, inappropriate passion. When I read that, I was laughing at myself because I was like, yeah, for sure. That's my problem. And I mean, especially in those cases, I tend to get that way when it's someone that I care about being taken advantage of or whatever, or what I perceive to be, you know, Joe, I asked him the other day when his dad came over the first day, you know, did you guys have fun when you were out there building stuff? And he said, well, I did, you know, I thought it was really fun. I mean, I think he really enjoys doing that with his dad. And for him, you know, maybe the whole nonsense that Don was pulling is just not that big of a deal. And so, you know, for me, that was a really big thing for me yesterday where I had this moment of clarity of like, I think this is inappropriate. And I have this real, you know, major reaction of like, and here's all these things that this is why this pisses me off. And you shouldn't be letting him do that. But it's not my decision. I mean, this doesn't really have anything.
Not entirely your decision. So partially, not entirely.
Affect me. It's not completely not affecting me, but it's not really my decision to tell him what he should be doing with his dad. You know, that's on him, and it's his choice
at this point
to do this. And so, if he, you know, if he wants to handle this the way he wants to handle it, then that's on him.
But
you know,
the
it's
fact
not
that we went ahead and ate dinner, that you went ahead and ate your dinner, I think was really important too. Because if you had stood back and waited for dinner, and let him inconvenience and disrupt again for the second day in a row, I mean, the fact that you didn't do that kind of sent a message to Joe that, you know, hey, if you want to do this, that's fine. But I am going to eat.
Yeah.
You know, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, and not in a mean way at I mean,
Right.
It wasn't like, well,
Well,
if you want to do
and
that.
that's what I mean is that, for me, it was like, it was this very clear realization that like, this is his choice to make.
Right.
It's not really, I mean, it is affecting me, but not in the same way. I mean, for me, I still have a choice to say, I'm going to eat dinner and I'm going to do what I'm going to do and whatever, he can be out there doing whatever he wants to be doing, but I'm going to do this. So really the choice was for Joe, do
Right.
I disrupt my dinner? Do I do blah, blah, blah? And if that's what he wants to do, then that's fine. That's his decision to make. It's not my job to go in and dictate how this needs to go and tell him how he needs to.
Defend
Yeah,
him. Yeah.
you should not let him do that to you. That's not, I do not need to be the savior in this situation. That's not my responsibility.
Exactly.
All I need to be doing is just, if there's nothing pleasant coming out, then just don't go there. And I was really excited. I mean, oh my God, really, there were multiple times where I was like, and I managed to rein it in. And then my brain would lob some other new argument. But what about, but you should really make this point. I'm like, nope, I'm not going. So I was proud of myself that I was able.
Very cool. I am keen to ask, how did this thing end? What was the upshot of it all?
His dad, I don't know. I assume that they got Joe did.
Joe.
Yeah. I assume that they got everything finished. His dad didn't come in. We didn't see him. So Joe went out. They built I think they already had all the wood cut, so they just built the rest of the gate. Joe came in. We were kind of right in the middle of eating. Joe got his food, sat down, ate the rest of dinner with us. We asked him how everything went. He said, good, we got it built. And that was it. We didn't talk about it again.
Wow. Very cool. Very cool. Very cool. Very cool. It's interesting he didn't come in. Maybe he got the hint.
That doesn't surprise me.
You were not amused. Yeah. Very cool.
I don't think that had anything to do with it.
I think
He probably just didn't want to come in.
That doesn't surprise me. It would have surprised me if Mary had been with him and not come in.
Right.
Or not, said something. But
Mary was really interesting. I thought
that was so funny.
We made a big effort to kind of include Mary. We went out and talked with her, showed her around because she likes flowers and everything. And so we showed her some of the new things that Erica has done with the gardens and all of that. And then it was cold. So we said,
really cold, yeah.
Hey, come on in, do you want any coffee or, whatever. We just sat in the living room and talked, and oh my gosh, she was so funny. And she told all these funny stories and that just made us laugh. And then I got Sarah to come in, and Sarah, she was typical Sarah. She was really nice, and then all of a sudden she goes, probably scared Mary to death, but I had warned her, and she said she wanted to have her come in. So then she and Sarah became best friends, and so that was good. And I mean, I never totally get Mary. I don't know.
Mary is a real enigma to me. She's
interesting.
Just when you think you have her pegged, something, she'll do something or something, and you're like,
okay,
wow, okay, never mind.
I mean,
wow.
We were trying to be really inclusive and friendly and everything, and she was being really friendly back and everything, but I'm never 100% sure if she really wants to be
included.
Or friendly. I mean, sometimes I get the feeling she would just rather be lefty.
Right.
Which
I don't know. I would hazard a guess that Mary is not blossoming because of too much shade.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
For sure.
Yeah.
She's in a quandary that if she does what she really wants to do, she may get in trouble with Don.
Right.
So,
I think
it's difficult for her. There we go.
I also get the feeling that she has the iron fist.
She does. She does. She definitely does.
But in private, not in public.
Yes. True. That's true.
Yeah.
That is true.
Well, when I was a youth, I learned so much from widows. Incredible bunch. I really learned tremendous amounts from them. I was very lucky.
Huh.
Yeah. Oh, because widows, all that stuff shifted. They got to be in a position where they could be themselves.
Right.
They had independence, means, everything, and they could just be. And they had no pressure on them, and they were outside of the usual pressures of society and that circle. And they were willing to tell me the truth because they had nothing to lose, and it was fantastic. I just found out so many brilliant things from widows. It's brilliant. Very thankful to widows. Very thankful to widows. Yeah. I mean, one of the first things I did that study about traumatic events, when I asked people like, now years later, how do you feel about whatever, and one of the first answers was, oh, I'm so pleased that big shit is dead. But don't you dare tell a soul I said that. That was the very first answer I got to that.
Oh my gosh.
Just like that. And in that community, in that society, I mean, nowadays, that's sort of an outrage. It's like, well, you don't hear people say that very often. Then that was like saying, God is dead. I was just mind-blowing. And yeah, I'm a teenager, 14, 15, somewhere around there. It's like, oh my God, crazy. And just that directness, I don't know, somewhere they must have just clicked and recognized in me the earnestness that they could say this. And what a gift, what a gift, But the very second thing, but don't you dare tell us all I said that. I'll deny every word of it. It was too fantastic. But it was liberating for her too, to be able to say that, So it was a benefit, I suppose. But just too phenomenal, Yeah. Yeah. I said lots of things. Just when we listen and we open up, it's amazing what people will tell you, It's incredible. When we get to the hearing and helping, we'll get into it. It's very cool stuff. Very cool stuff. Was there more on the pleasant potency before we go?
Well, yeah, there's a couple more exercise questions, but
we can do the exercises next time. I thought you were on the slides.
No, I don't think I had any more specific takeaways. Let's see. Yeah, just the concept of the balance again. I mean, I think in every section, that's a big undercurrent for me.
And we have to be adamant on maintaining the necessary distance, like which you did with Don and Joe, but not too much. You don't want to be completely disconnected either, right?
That every part of this section was this interesting back and forth of, we really need to be adamant about being pleasant, but not being too pleasant. And
right. And then look at the second line of that there. So the second part of that sentence, we have to be adamant on maintaining the necessary distance, but not too much, so it's not to be disconnected from our own caring and deep love of everything and all. So yes, we can unhook, like in the case of Phil. You say, enough, I've done enough capital diplomacy here, but I'm not totally disconnected. Yeah, I'm not letting you go. I'm not ever seeing you again, whatever. I'm not shutting things down. I'm trusting in the universe now, my deep love of everything and all, to take care of it. And things do, and I really do see there is that consequence in full, at least from what you share with me. I really, really do see it. And we don't always get to see how things come about later on, and we see that, hey, we did make a difference even though we didn't think so at the time. It's a big gift for you that you can see this vital. You see the entire appropriateness of that picture. It's a huge gift and a bonus. It's very cool. Very cool. Massive lessons of appropriateness.
Absolutely.
Also, by the way, there is a point one more point in this, when we know when to give up, that when we start seeing our efforts are starting to be counterproductive. When you start repeating, people start shutting off, and they start getting closed, and they start getting negative, and they start rejecting what you're saying. When they start shutting down, that's when you've got to quit. Yeah, because now you've been counterproductive. So, very cool. Brilliant. I love it. Major magic. But I don't want to forget tomorrow. Is this pipeline thing affecting Joe in any way? I've been thinking about him every time I see it on the news.
super directly. He said that it has caused, I mean, this always happens whenever there's any kind of
Yeah.
security breach in the energy industry, then all the execs are like, "Ugh," you know, like, what are we
They start to panic. They start to panic. Right.
and going like, well, we need to be doing this and this, and are we doing blah 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 blah? And so then the security department has to go, we've been talking about this for years, you know, this is
Yeah.
so Joe is not super directly affected.
Okay, good.
He's certainly hearing lots of talk, and the security team is definitely affected, but so far nothing that's had
Good. And I'm assuming you are pleased that you are not in security anymore, yes?
No, it was so funny because Joe was the one that told me about this happening, because I have completely disconnected from the security world. I don't
Brilliant.
notifications. I literally know nothing. So he was like, "Oh, did you hear about the big breach?" I was like, "Nope."
Very cool. Very cool. Brilliant. Right. I just want to make sure everything's all good, because every time it comes up, I think of Joe, and I know he's not in security, but I imagine that would be the reaction. But they just good, everything good. Brilliant.
A lot of the pipeline companies are connected, but
Correct. That's what I figured. Yeah.
They were not like somebody that we work with or anything.
Yeah, I would imagine sometimes you go through somebody else's pipes and stuff like that. Yeah, I would imagine. So. All right, brilliant. Good to know. Very cool. All right, see you tomorrow. Bye-bye, Kay. Bye-bye. Fun. That was fun. Recording. I do want